They said it would be over quickly. But the war left Middle-earth in ruin. And would last centuries.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 things you missed in the Rings of Power premiere episodes.
They say that Morgoth found the Silmarils so beautiful that after he'd stolen them, for weeks he could do nothing but stare into their depths.
For this list, we're looking at subtle details and references to Middle-earth lore in the first 2 episodes of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. What details did you appreciate? Tell us in the comments. Number 10. The Two Trees. The Rings of Power is set during the Second Age, but we do get glimpses of events beforehand. Galadriel's voiceover mentions a time before there was a sun.
And there was a time when the world was so young, there had not yet been a sunrise. But even then, there was light.
After Ilúvatar and the holy beings he created, the Ainur, crafted the world. 2 lamps lit the skies. But these lamps were destroyed by the rebellious Ainu Morgoth, or Melkor. He also assailed their replacements, the 2 trees of Valinor, enlisting Shelob's ancestor Ungoliant to drink their light.
We thought our light would never dim. So when the great foe Morgoth destroyed the very light of our home, we resisted.
Hence the dark skies as the elves crossed the Straight Road, the bridge between the shores of Valinor and Middle-earth. The sun was created from the last fruit of the gold tree, Laurelin, and the moon from the flower of the silver tree, Telperion. Number 9. Elf-human pairings.
Say what you wish to say.
I have said it already. 100 times over, in every way but words.
The romance between Eärendil and Bronwyn recalls other great love stories between elves and men, like that of Aragorn and Arwen. As Eärendil's companion notes, at this point in known history, there had only been 2 pairings between the races.
My point is this. Only twice in known history has a pairing between elves and humans even been attempted, and on each occasion, it ended in tragedy. It ended in death.
One is the well-known union in the First Age of Beren and Luthien, who gave up her immortality to be with her love.
'Tis the lay of Luthien, the elf maiden who gave her love to Beren, a mortal.
What happened to her?
She died.
Incidentally, Beren's life was once saved by Galadriel's brother Finrod, which is how Finrod died. The other was between Tur and Idril. However, according to Tolkien's letters and unfinished tales, Tur did not die, but received immortality, sailing west with Idril to Valinor. Number 8. Morgoth's human allies.
But mark this, Eärendil, that for 79 years you've kept watch over the men and women of Tirharad, not because of what their ancestors once did, but because of who they still are.
Morgoth had allies among the Lesser Ainur, the Maiar, including Sauron and the Balrogs. His army also comprised other dark creatures, such as his own corrupted creations orcs and dragons. Unfortunately, Morgoth also managed to corrupt some men in the east. The Easterlings would go on to flock to Sauron's banner. Morgoth's allies seem to have included the ancestors of the villagers in Tirharad in Mordor, who are policed by a contingent of elves.
The lot you lump us in with died off 1,000 years ago. When are you people gonna let the past go?
In the premiere episodes, they're reluctant to leave their homes. But trust us, that is not prime real estate. Get out of there. Number 7. A Dark Fortress.
We are there.
On Sauron's trail, Galadriel stumbles across an abandoned fortress in the northern waste. The desolation of the waste is actually due to the hatred that flowed from Morgoth's fortress Utumno. It was there that the first orcs were created from captured elves.
Commander Galadriel, this company has followed you to the very edge of the world, but none who ever dared search for this last stronghold has ever found anything.
Utumno was destroyed by the Valar, the Ainur who shaped the world. After being dragged back to Valinor, Morgoth escaped and fled to a citadel not far from Autumnal, called Angband, which had been commanded by his lieutenant Sauron. The cold that Galadriel and her followers experience is part of the blight left by lingering evil.
This place is so evil, our torches give off no warmth. This way.
How can you be certain?
It's colder than the rest.
Number 6. A broken blade.
Watch it!
Evil objects of power have a way of being found. The One Ring had an uncanny knack for changing hands. Bronwyn's son Theo stumbles upon a black broken blade that bears the sinister mark of Sauron. The way it drinks blood recalls Gurthang, the sword of the cursed hero Túrin. Gurthang was reforged from Anglachel, which, along with its mate, Anguirel, was crafted from a meteorite. When Túrin asked Gurthang to end his life, it promised to, quote, drink his blood gladly, and he threw himself on the blade, breaking it asunder. But Gurthang was buried with Túrin far away, on land that became an island to the northwest. Could Theo's blade instead be a Morgul knife? The kind wielded by the Witch King of Angmar?
He's been stabbed by a Morgul blade. This is beyond my skill to heal.
Number 5. Notable departures.
In the darkness, his vow became mine.
While The Rings of Power acknowledges the broad brushstrokes of Tolkien's history, it does feature some notable departures. This includes Galadriel's hunt for Sauron and her almost return to Valinor, along with a compressed timeline.
Look at you now. Commander of the Northern Armies, warrior of the Wastelands. I half expected you to arrive caked in grime and mud.
In J.R.R. Tolkien's writings, details of Galadriel's life in the Second Age are somewhat sparse, with centuries between major events, so there is room for adventure. However, Tolkien had Galadriel running over various elven fiefdoms with her husband, Celeborn. For several centuries, she resided in Celebrimbor's realm, leaving for Lothlorien shortly before the forging of the Rings of Power. Number 4. Concerning hobbits. Casual fans will have caught the mention of Harfoots, but might be unsure of how they relate to hobbits.
Look like a badger. Maybe a fox.
More likely a Harfoot.
Harfoot?
Don't care to be seen none, but if you do, watch yourself. Dangerous creatures they are.
You're making it up.
A precursor to the hobbits we know and love, Harfoots lived east of the Misty Mountains in the Second Age, having likely branched out from men in the Elder Days. Early hobbits were actually divided into 3 groups: Stoors, Fallowhides, and Harfoots. Harfoots were shorter, browner of skin, and lived in hobbit holes. We see proto-hobbit holes of a sort in the Harfoot village. Eventually, they migrated west, where Harfoots, Stoors, and Fallowhides intermingled, although Harfoot characteristics predominated.
Eleanor Brandyfoot, with your father's nose and always poking us into trouble. You are far too curious and meddlesome to have been born a Harfoot. Are you quite certain you're not part squirrel?
Number 3. The Stranger. Earlier, we mentioned the Maiar, the vassals of the Valar. Among them were the Istari, wizards such as Gandalf, Saruman, and Radagast. There were also others, such as the Blue Wizards. Tolkien's depiction of the Blue Wizards changed over time. In earlier writings, they were named Alatar and Palando, and traveled to the east and south to disrupt Sauron, but presumably failed.
What about your name? You. You don't remember, do you? Suppose you did fall quite a long way. Anybody's head would be a bit higgledy-piggledy.
In Tolkien's later writings, they arrived in the Second Age before the other Istari and successfully upended Sauron's plans. It seems like a fair bet that Daniel Wayman's character, the Stranger, is a divine being of this nature.
He wants us to help him find those stars. That's it, isn't it? Isn't it?
Number 2. Eärendil the Mariner. The Rings of Power is largely based on the Lord of the Rings appendices. Amazon doesn't have the rights to works like the Silmarillion that provide deeper dives into the First and Second Ages. Nonetheless, there are references to the Silmarils. gems that triggered the wars of the First Age. Crafted by Galadriel's uncle Fëanor, they were stolen by Morgoth.
Fëanor's hammer. The tool that wrought the Silmarils. The jewels that contain the very light of Valinor. Strange, isn't it? How one object could be responsible for creating so much beauty and so much pain.
The show also works in a depiction of Eärendil the Mariner, the half-elven son of Tur and Idril, and father of Elrond.
I hear it said that when you cross over, you hear a song, one whose memory we all carry. And you are immersed in a light more intoxicating than any sensation in all of Middle-earth.
As Eärendil sailed to Valinor to beg the Valar for aid, his wife Elwing appeared overhead as a white bird, holding a Silmaril recovered by her grandfather Beren. The Valar granted their request, joining the War of Wrath. The Silmaril became the star of Eärendil, carried by him on his voyages, and glimmering at sunrise and sunset.
Farewell, Frodo Baggins. I give you the light of Eärendil, our most beloved star.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are some honorable mentions. Hammer-handle runes. They read iron in our hands. The Shepherds of the Trees. In a brief shot, Ents huddle in horror as a star falls. A Test of Endurance. Durin IV references Aule, the Valar who created dwarves.
The elf, Elrond, has invoked the right of seeking Tagar. The dwarven test of endurance, fashioned by Aule himself.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. A decisive battle.
We resisted. And a legion of elves went to war.
After Morgoth destroyed the two trees and stole the Silmarils, Fëanor led his elves, the Noldor, from Valinor to Middle-earth in search of revenge.
We left Valinor, our home, and journeyed to a distant realm, one filled with untold perils and strange creatures beyond count.
Their departure was bloody as they rebelled against the Valar and killed their own kin to obtain ships. The episode skips over this, but we do glimpse a decisive battle against Morgoth. It might be the War of Wrath, when winged dragons were first unleashed and fought the eagles. However, Finrod wasn't present for this battle, and the flying foes look more like the fell beasts ridden by the Nazgul in the Third Age. This suggests an earlier battle, Dagor Bragollach, which saw Finrod cut off from his people as in the show. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.